Great to welcome a woman who's really written a fascinating book. It fits right in with the music we play here at WTMY. It's called Playboy Swings, How Hugh Hefner and Playboy Changed the Face of Music. We're joined by the author Patty Farmer today. She's out in California, and she joined us by telephone. Patty, good to talk with you. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Doug, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have a chance to talk with you. I had an opportunity to read through the book. Now, unfortunately, a little bit before my time, I heard a little bit about the Playboy Clubs, but I never got a chance to go to one because they were pretty much done before I was old enough to be able to go. But it sounds like they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it to me, too. I think we're in the same boat. I never went to one, but I think that's what makes it even more interesting to me. I learned an awful lot, and, I'm just happy to be able to share it with everyone.
Yeah, what brought you to this project, to write about it?
My niche is entertainment history, and I love to talk to the performers and chronicle primarily the older performers. And I kept hearing about the Playboy Clubs or the TV shows or the Jazz Festival. All these folks kept, talking about being on one or the other. And the more I dug, the more I found that I didn't know about Playboy's role in entertainment. For almost 20 years, they were the largest employer of entertainment in the country. And I found that remarkable, and I thought, other people would too.
Yeah, most people associated obviously with the magazine, but I had a chance a while ago. They put out some DVDs of the old Playboy After Dark show, which were kind of fun to watch. I never saw them before, but you look at the first rendition, which was, I guess, late 50s. They had Ella Fitzgerald on there. They had all the great jazz artists, Sammy Davis. Those were great shows.
Those were, 1959 was Playboy's Penthouse. That was the first one.
Right.
And just like you said, they had Tony Bennett and Sammy Davis, Ella Fitzgerald, Spy Coleman, just on and on. People have asked me, they said, can you make a list of all the people that performed at one Playboy venue or another? And I said, it would be so much easier for me to make a list of the people who weren't there because almost everybody at one time or another performed there.
It really was well produced. I mean, you go up in an elevator. Actually, it starts off with, I guess, Hugh Hefner driving up in his car, right? The outside
Right.
shot, and then you go up the elevator, and then Hugh Hefner greets you opening the door. It was a well-produced show, almost like you were at the party. I think they did a great job with that.
Right, and that was, Hef's forward thinking. The network, when they approached him with this, I think they had in mind something along the Ed Sullivan variety show format, and where the guests come out and tell a joke or sing a song or do something and then maybe talk for a little bit. But Hef had another idea, and he wanted it a little bit more intimate. He wanted the viewers to feel like they were in his living room, and I think he did a good job there.
Yeah, no audience. A lot of people around, that kind of, I guess, atmosphere. I guess they were hired, but it looked like they were just guests to the party, right?
Right. And I don't know if you noticed, but you never see a microphone.
That's right. You're right. Yeah.
Really unusual in the 50s because they didn't have all the tricky technology, to make them tiny. But you never see a microphone. I noticed that.
And you didn't see a band either. They had some small combos, but I think Sammy Davis came on and his whole orchestra was there somewhere, but you never saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those
That's true.
Great shows. And of course, Hugh Hefner, part of the lore of the magazine was the Playboy lifestyle, and music was part of that, and jazz and was a big part of his life, and he kind of brought that to his interest to the magazine. So I guess that's why he had all these artists on. He liked those people, right?
Oh, definitely. He loved jazz. Even with that first issue of the magazine, 1953, with Marilyn Monroe on the cover, and obviously he liked beautiful ladies, but in that magazine he could have showcased any politician or movie star or sports figure for the article inside, and yet he profiled the Dorsey brothers. That was his passion. He loved jazz. 1962, when the iconic Playboy interviews started, once again, he could have had anybody for that first interview, and he had Miles Davis. So there was really a distinctive thread of what Hef liked there.
Yeah, he also came out with the record label. You talk about that in the book as well, and which I guess they were mostly compilation albums, right, of different artists?
Right, there were a few singles, or a few separate artists, but I found it very surprising. For some reason, someone who loved jazz, it was mainly country. He had Mickey Gilley and Joe Franken Reynolds and his then girlfriend Barbie Benton, but it was primarily country. Go figure. I don't know what thinking was there.
Yeah, I guess then he established the Playboy Jazz Festivals after that, right? Was that a little bit later on?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which toured around different places, I guess. But the Playboy Clubs is what you primarily focus on in the book, and that, I guess, ran from about late 50s to early 80s, I guess, is when the last club closed, right?
Right. The first one opened in 1960, and the last one, which was Michigan, closed in 1988.
88.
So,
okay.
That's a remarkable run for any kind of club. Nowadays you look at the clubs, and if they last 5 years, it's people are talking. So 28 years, and there ended up being 40 clubs around the world. Primarily in the States, though.
Now, everybody that went to it, you had to be a member, right? You had to get the key, but you just had to pay for the membership. It wasn't really stringent, right? To become a member?
Right. It wasn't an exclusive club. Almost anyone who could fill out an application and write a check for $25 got their key, but it was still, very prestigious. And I don't know if you recall, but I didn't see it when it first came out, but in doing the research, I found out that I think it was in Diamonds Are Forever, James Bond went up, situation, he had to open his wallet, and next to his license to kill was his Playboy card. So, it was a very hip thing to have a Playboy card.
Yeah, that would have fit right in with James Bond, no doubt about it.
Yep.
I've always heard about it. A friend of mine in college, I remember he said his dad had a key. I never saw it, though, so that was the closest I ever came. A friend of mine's dad belonged to the club a long time ago in New York, but it must have been a lot of fun, and that really became a circuit not only for singers, and all the singers, like you talk about in the book, played there, right? Ella and Nancy Wilson, great names. Tony Bennett, of course, was pretty much a regular at all the clubs. That really was the place to work for a while.
It was, and you just hit it right on the head. It was a place to work. It offered all these up-and-coming performers a place to start out and get paid. Who was it? Aretha Franklin. She was 18 years old, and she worked at the Chicago Playboy Club. Mm-hmm. Al Jarreau started out at the Playboy. That didn't start out at the Playboy Clubs, but Al played at the Playboy Clubs when he was starting out, and part of a duo called Al and Julio. So on and on. Joan Rivers, she was part of a trio. It was Jim, Jake, and Joan at the Playboy Clubs. So they gave a lot of people a lot of work.
Yeah, I didn't know. Until you read your book there, I didn't know I know she'd done a lot of stuff in New York as an actress and working Greenwich Village. I didn't know she worked as a part of a trio. So that was new to me. That was interesting.
Yeah. She started out in the early years at the Playboy Club as part of a trio, and then she came back to the Playboy Clubs doing stand-up, and then in the later years she returned as a headliner. So she has good things to say about the Playboy Clubs.
Yeah, comedians, in addition to singers, that was a great place for them to work. I know you talk in there, you had some pictures of a guy I had a chance to interview a couple of times, Shelley Berman, and he was a lot of fun to talk to. I know you talked to him as well. A lot of the great comedians worked those clubs.
Yeah, Shecky Green and Rich Little and
Rich, yeah.
Just on. And a lot of people that did go on to become really famous, Mitzi Gaynor and Marlene Dietrich. People never associate names like that with playing at the Playboy Club.
Yeah, and you had a chance to talk to a lot of them, right, in the book, do interviews with them?
Yeah. Hundreds of people.
That must have been a lot of fun for you. I had a chance to talk to Mitzi Gaynor a couple of years ago. She's a hoot. Great stories.
Isn't she terrific? I love her.
Well, kind of, the overall theme of the book is, Playboy Swings is the title, and that was an era that is probably never going to come back, but I guess it lives on in a sense, right? I mean, Hef's still around. I don't know. I don't think he's as much into jazz anymore, but people remember it, right?
Right, and it does live on because Hef helped in my opinion, promote the popularity of jazz and really kind of move it from being a type of music that you primarily dance to becoming a concert music. You know, during the 50s, they had that transition, and it really wasn't, you know, too much before the Playboy Jazz Festival where, you know, people just put a record on and danced to it. And here comes the Playboy Club, 1959, and people bought tickets and sat down, and it became more of a concert music.
Yeah.
So he helped advance the music. He helped break down color barriers. You know, we're talking about the 50s and early 60s, which was before the Civil Rights Act even, and a lot of the country was still under segregation. So Hef was really colorblind to that and really didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, you have in the book Dick Gregory, who was one of the comedians that worked there. He talked about that. Really broke the color barrier in many senses at the clubs, right, around the country.
Right, absolutely. You mentioned Dick Gregory, and he received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame last year. And the first thing he said was, you know, that he credited Hugh Hefner with helping to break down the color barriers. And he had a great quote. He said, "Hef didn't care if you were black, white, or yellow, only if you could sing a song, tell a joke, or swing an instrument." And I thought that was a great quote.
We talked about the TV show, which had two incarnations, late 50s or I guess early 60s, and then they had one later in the 60s. I saw some of those episodes, and boy, what a difference in the people that came on it. You still had Sammy Davis and some of the others on there, but you had more of the rock acts come on in the later shows. Fun to watch those.
Yeah, Sonny and Cher and Linda Ronstadt and Pete Seeger and the rock bands. You know, again, you know, it was Hef. He loved jazz, but he also believed in giving people what they wanted, and rock and roll was really the music that people were primarily listening to then. So he gave the people what they wanted.
It's a shame that show didn't last longer. I guess it was kind of a ad hoc syndication deal, right? It wasn't on a network, so it was probably tough to get the advertisers, I guess, right?
Right. I don't know why it didn't last longer, but you know exactly what you said about it being syndicated rather than network.
Yeah, and they're tough to find, the episodes. I'd love to see all of them. I guess some of them are available on DVD, but they are fun to watch. But anyway, the name of the book is called Playboy Swings, How Hugh Hefner and Playboy Changed the Face of Music, and we've been talking with Patty Farmer today. Patty, give out a website. People definitely want to get a hold of this book. Yeah.
The website is patty-farmer.com. Playboy Swings is all over the place. It's in your bookstores. It's on Amazon. If you don't see it, please ask your bookstore for it.
Patty, real pleasure to talk to you. I know you're on a busy tour, but please keep in touch through your publicist, and next project comes out. I'd love to have you back on, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you for spending some time with me, Doug. I love talking about music and jazz and all things Playboy.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or DougMilesMedia.com.